Buckle up, everyone, and welcome to Carpool Rugby League, show where two rugby league tragics talk everything rugby league on their way to or from work. I'm Graham.
No, I'm Shane.
Welcome aboard and on with the show. All right, so just so that everyone's aware, the timing of recording this was Wednesday night about 7:30. So there's a bit of news that's happened today in regards to the upcoming Origin. We've also got a bit of news to cover from the judiciary last night, and I think that's going to be the main thing that people would have been talking about around the water cooler today. Are we going to get straight into it and get your opinion? George Burgess, 9 weeks. What do we think? Did they get that about right?
No, they got it about 6 weeks, not enough.
Yeah.
He should be rubbed out for any potential game South Sydney plays this year. I just thought it was a horrendous act. Look, we're not going to dwell on the games that have been, but when we look at it, South Sydney are in the doldrums at the moment. They've 4 losses in a row. They are struggling. I'm wondering if that's the act of a player who is at this point in time looking to see where his future lies. He's playing for a team that, whilst still second on the table,
somehow
is struggling. I just put it all together, and then to swear on everyone that you know, basically, in the judiciary, and say it was an accident. I find that really abhorrent. He's done this before. It's an act. He had 50% loading. You're telling me that initially, what is this worth? I think it was a really grubby act. And look, if he had put his hand out and then all of a sudden threw it away because he's like, I'm sorry, I didn't realise where my hand was. Yep. I could get that. You can't.
The pressure kept going.
The pressure kept going. It's a grubby thing that we need out of the game. And it's funny. It was out of the game for a while. And it feels like now, through the actions of only a couple, it feels like it's coming back. And look, did we not learn anything from the whole cricketing saga? There's cameras everywhere. You're not
going to go over there.
40, mind you, the bunker couldn't find one for old mate's hand the other day. But anyway, that's you could feel, mate. We could be talking for 5 hours tonight. It's just, I don't think they got it right. And look, did they get it right in sending him straight to the judiciary? Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
You can't put a time on that and allow an early guilty plea. That had to go straight to the judiciary, of course. I think part of the issue with this is that not only are we a bit upset about this penalty not being harsh enough, the problem stems right back from the first eye gouge he did earlier on in the year, where he only got 4 weeks. So collectively, for 2 eye gouges in the same year, he's only serving basically a combination, all up, put it together. It's a total of 13 weeks, which I think he got off pretty light. Cool. I actually think where we've got that issue is that first suspension, and this is a sign to say we have to be hard with those penalties, because 4 weeks wasn't enough for him to learn his lesson. No. And the silly thing was, it was at a point in the game where really, I don't think South Sydney were under the pump. They conceded a couple of penalties in a row. They had the game in control. It just didn't need to happen. It never needs to happen. There's never a right time, even if your team's under the pump.
I think it was it a 5th tackle penalty?
I'm not sure.
I think it was. I think it was 4th or 5th tackle penalty as well.
I think the
decision making. If you're the team, I don't know. I don't know what Wayne Bennett's come out with. I don't know what the team's come out with. I don't know what South Sydney's come out with. But as a collective, you've got to be very angry for what occurred in that instance.
I think what angers people a fair bit, and I think we're going to hear about it a bit more towards the back end of the season, with South sitting in second, we're pretty comfortable to say that they're going to be there at the finals. If you do the maths and you add it up, I've just done a quick hand count. And I'm hoping I'm right here with the buys and everything, the amount of rounds that are left. I think he's available for the first round of finals.
He is. He is. And you know what? That's almost too coincidental for my liking.
Yeah, it was almost as if they say, well, look, he needs a long suspension, but we don't dare rub out And from the NRL's point of view, I think there's a little bit of, looking at the entertainment aspect of sport. And I don't know if that 9-week ban is... I don't think it's a coincidence.
I'm telling you now, it's highly strategic.
I think, yes, when you are marketing your final series, it's going to be the return of Burgess. He's a big name. Everyone knows the Burgess names, whether it be through Sam or George or whatnot. And you can see him in other forms of media. I think he's actually a part of a show that's going to be on TV.
Get out of it.
I'll look into what show he's going to be on, but I think it's one of those reality shows. It's
Bondi Shore.
It's like Dancing with the Stars or something in that regards. But I'll have to double check in that. But you see what I mean? We're talking about a personality here, and
yeah, well, that's fair to say. He is a personality,
and that's one of those situations where he's a name people know. This is going to be a story going into the finals. It's going to be a marketing
conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
But look, to touch on South Sydney while we're talking about them, they're in a bit of trouble at the moment. Their last 5, they're 4-1, 4 losses, 1 win. They had every opportunity to win the game against the Tigers. There are some teams chugging along nicely. I'll put a shout out to Penrith. I know one, Mr. Stevens, thinks I have a bag in Penrith. I just call it as I see it. I still think you've got to win games by more than 1 to get into the finals. But that's just me.
Look, but you said that to me.
Yeah.
I actually made the call, about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I said they can make the finals, and you do make a good point in the sense they've got to start winning games by more than 1 point. They're not far off it at the moment in regards to actual points on the table. It's their for and against that's killing them.
That's the problem.
They're 2 points out of the 8.
Look, if they can win a game by 40, they're half a chance. Until they win a game by 40, they're not going to do it.
Yeah.
The Sharks, I thought, fell in a heap. I thought the Sharks, albeit, I don't think refereeing. Talking about Penrith, I think the Penrith game, there were some absolute howlers in that game, and we're at the point where I felt for Maloney because he was a man clearly frustrated, and this is the thing I've always said. If we're going to allow conversation between referees and players, then we need open dialogue. We need that dialogue to be conversational. If we're getting to the point where referees are picking and choosing when they can talk, and where referees are picking and choosing what they say, then here's an idea: referees say nothing. You blow a penalty, that's it. You're offside.
Yeah.
If a referee says you're offside, what more do you need?
I've never seen a referee change their mind.
Yeah, and this is the thing. I think
they shouldn't have to justify themselves.
No, but likewise, why are referees being told to have conversations with players? Then all of a sudden Maloney wants a conversation because he's getting frustrated because two of us trips over his shoelaces and someone gets 10 to bin.
Yeah.
And he wants a conversation about it.
The play.
I really think we're starting to get at the tipping point. We're starting to see mistakes. This time last year was the same. I've got a radical idea. Do we need an all-round bye so referees have a week off? Because there are one group of people who do not get a week off.
Yeah, and that'd be interesting to see in regards to the NRL and their welfare. In regards to, we talk about player loads. Are we looking at the referee loads? How they?
I'll tell you what.
If it's a rotational system in regards to giving them a week off, If someone said to me, you have, their welfare.
You have to do 10 minutes of being a player or 10 minutes of being a referee. Now, I'm rubbish at both. I'll choose player. Because I'll tell you what, referee has a mental game for a referee, and I think and I'm not saying for a player there's no mental game there either. But what I'm saying is they are
decisions
on
under fatigue.
That's right, and
we know that fatigue has an impact on decision making.
Yeah.
And not only the fatigue in a match, what they've got to look at too is the loads of the referees and the cumulative fatigue that happens over a season. You want them to be peaking at the grand final, not getting tired and being worn out refereeing a big match.
We saw some howlers this weekend. Are we at the point where we need an all-round bye because the referees need a week off too?
Yeah.
I don't know, just putting that on.
Yeah, no, not a bad point.
Look, other teams that were chugging along. Look, the Tigers finding ways to win. Storm, they're an absolute juggernaut. Roosters, well, geez, I just don't know. Like, just don't know what's going on. They're a bit like South at the moment, where it just depends what Roosters side turns up. I know they're playing the Storm.
South haven't looked good.
I know they were playing the Storm.
Yeah.
But there were times in that game where you went, wow, the Storm. No, they made some uncharacteristic errors, and I thought the Roosters would pounce on it.
I think Storm are at the moment the clear front runners, and they deserve to be.
Yeah. Manly, Javojevic brothers, what's their run into the finals going to look like?
They're just keeping up, aren't they? They're really
chugging along. Look, it's congested now, and look,
it is. All of a sudden, the top eight's really congested. We did see for a bit there that breakaway with the top three with Melbourne, South, and the Roosters. Roosters and South haven't had the best of times this past month. And we're starting to see
I think Origin,
yeah, of course.
But also, here's the thing. And remember, the Roosters did this last year too. Here's the thing. Canberra could have been second at the end of this round.
Yeah,
they just could not get it. The Warriors blew an opportunity against Penrith. I think what we're starting to see is that we're starting to see a period where Origin helped teams and it hindered others, and I think
the team I think when you get the bye on that first week, that's huge.
That's huge. That's massive.
Because what happens is you get teams now, they're getting 2 buys in the space of 3 weeks.
Yep.
They've got to look at that.
The
That's
buy in the
ridiculous.
first round, and I think that there's. I think it's an equity issue. I really do. I think the buy in the first series of buys is a far better get than the second one.
Some teams look rejuvenated after that week, and then going in. Did you look at a team like the Storm? They don't really look affected. But the Storm also too. We've talked about them in the past, just being an absolute machine, where they just bring another cog in to play that role.
The other thing is when you start looking at loads and timing, if you had to play in that first week, you played without your Origin stars, and they had to back up after Wednesday as well. So I know there's some teams that are doing that. I know there's some teams that happens to this weekend, but yeah, I've always said that the first round of buys favours teams more than the second.
Look, I've talked about this in the past. They can structure it so that Origin is on 3 standalone weekends.
They're not going to.
They can though.
I know they can. I'm not saying they can't, but I'm just saying.
I know there's a lot of influences in regards to the media and the media side of things, but
it's TV.
Yeah, we've got to. The players are the. Yeah, without the players, if you're burning the players out, you don't have the product. So they've got to really think.
What you end up doing is you end up resenting the product, and that's the thing. Origin is such a great football spectacle.
Pinnacle of the game.
If you get teams that start resenting, or people that start resenting the product, that's and people have seen it in the NFL. They have the game before. What's the game before? Game before Super Bowl. Week before Super Bowl. It's like their All-Star weekend without Super Bowl. I can't think what it's called now. Hall of Fame week. Hall of Fame game. No, Hall of Fame game.
No, you're talking about like the All-Star.
No, you know the NFL where they have
Pro Bowl.
Pro Bowl. Is it the Pro Bowl? The week before the week before Super Bowl? Pro Bowl. It is Pro Bowl, isn't it?
Yeah, where they have
East versus West.
Yeah.
Well, people are now just not even acknowledging that as a game because they resent it because they see it as nothing that's like the NFL during the season. It's just a joke. So now what was 5 years ago really good spectacle to watch? It's just become a joke. And what you don't want is you don't want people to... Now, I don't think Origin will ever become a joke, but will people start to go, I hate Origin because of this? Like they do trial games now. You look at trial games. 15 years ago, trial games were sold out. Now people
They've
just
been
close.
their values.
Now people just close their eyes and hope no one gets injured.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, look, the other thing we probably need to touch on, we talked about George Burgess. The other news out of the judiciary last night is in regards to Tariq Sims.
He was never winning.
No,
He was never winning. Poor bastard.
To be honest with you, as a Blues fan, I feel as though this is a blessing in disguise because it actually opens the door for Clemmer to come back in.
Oh, look,
I think.
I
would you rather have Clemmer or Sims there? All fairness.
Can I have both?
Yep. Look.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know
Because
what you're saying.
Look, he gets off last night, which is highly unlikely. We understand that.
Clemmer doesn't
He gets
play.
off.
Yeah.
Clemmer's not selected. That
Clemmer should
blows
be
my
selected
mind.
from the start. But
So,
yeah. Look, Clemmer's a good replacement.
yeah, definitely. I think Clemmer, in our first game, he was, and we talked about this, he was the inform prop going into it. He was the best prop on the field, and there was a really obvious correlation between how New South Wales were going and when he was on the field. He played the first 50-something minutes, he went off, we lost the game from there. So I think Clemmer being back in is massive. The other news we're hearing tonight out of the State of Origin camps is that
Mitchell Pearce.
Cleary's out of the New South Wales team, and that Mitchell Pearce will be taking his place. That was news that broke this afternoon, and I just wanted to get your thoughts. They're expecting Pearce to join up with the Blues camp. I think on Wednesday night, which is tonight. They're expecting him to join the Blues camp straight away. So he's played with James Maloney before in the halves.
Premiership winning halves combination.
Brad Fittler calling in Pearce. What do we think of that? I was asked about this at lunchtime today, before this news broke.
Sure.
I actually thought that they were going to go with, having the fact that Gutherson was named as the 18th man, which led me to believe that if Pearce was that 18th man on standby, I would have said yes. But I felt they may have gone with Wade Graham and Maloney as the halves. Not surprised. What do you think?
Yeah, look, it's a no-brainer decision. I look at what my one query is this. Mitchell Pearce, when he played with the Roosters with Maloney pulled the strings, and Mitchell Pearce was that running halfback that hit the gap, but it was all on the back of what Maloney said. Fast forward how many years they've been playing in other teams. You have now at Newcastle. He is the key orchestra in that side. Yeah. And Maloney at Penrith is. I'm glad they've got him pulling the strings. When you have two dominant halves, I find in big games it's a recipe for disaster. Unless you know each other's roles. And I think what they've got to do is draw a distinct line in the sand and say, this person's taking control. If that's the case, in my view, I probably would have had Maloney at 7 and Keary at 6. Now, I like the fact that Pearce has been brought in. He's been man of the match so often this year, he deserves it. The big key thing here is who's going to take control? Who's going to orchestrate what goes on? I think that has to be Maloney. I think what Pearce has to do, I would love Pearce to come in and be that running halfback. He will score tries. Like, he won't just score one. He will set up tries. He will do what a halfback should do. I just think that it's got to be up to Maloney to orchestrate what's going on. If he pulls Pearce in here and Pearce gets free rein, we're going to end up with the same problem we had when he was the Blues halfback years ago. He needs the Maloney there, the Maloney factor, to do that for him. And some players are like that, and that's fine. Like, there's not an issue with that. But I think what we've got to do is say, okay, who is the dominant half? That dominant half has to be Maloney. If that's the case, then the Blues have every opportunity to win this game.
Well, I feel as though Maloney will take that on. You saw in that second game there that we're just holding on, yellow light. Yep, now stopping time. That second game there, Maloney wanted to take charge. He wanted to be that main playmaker. He was really fighting and scrapping for it.
Well, he was.
And that's just his nature, I think, in those tough big games. He's one of those players where I'm starting to feel as though he's built for Origin, in a sense that
Maloney's not just built for Origin. Look at how many grand finals he's been in. Every team he's played at has been in a grand final.
I know, but the point, I understand that. He's surrounded with success, and that's no coincidence. But the thing I'm sort of saying is, he's that tough, gritty player where you don't want to have, a bloke going in that's made of styrofoam. He's just going to get busted.
No,
do you know what I mean? He's that gritty player. He's got that. I don't want to say niggle about it. He's got that. Yeah, I'll use the word gritty.
And, you know what? I'll say this now.
With Gallen missing out of the Origin team, we needed a little bit more of that in there.
Bit of grub. Bit of grub. No, I'll say this now. I'll say this now. He'll be a brilliant coach. I just look at what you can't do what he does without being a brilliant people person. And it's funny, you look at Penrith. Penrith have changed the minute Cleary took a back seat and Maloney stepped forward, they're a different team. And I think that Maloney. Now, and you got to be fair. Like, this guy's had a young day. He's got a young family. He's a newborn this year. So there's been a lot on his plate, and yet he's still coming through and doing what we know he can do. I really think. I thought people were very, very hard on him earlier this year when they were calling for his head. I thought, hang on, here's a guy he's throwing everything but the kitchen sink at trying to win a game. And the reason why they're not winning isn't because of him. The whole club was down on form and confidence. Well, the forwards were doing the job. The problem is, it got to their number 7, and he was kicking it dead, or he was doing non-penetrating kicks. They couldn't get a repeat set. They're going sideways. And Maloney's got to be the man for both Penrith and the Blues who take control, because when he takes control, Cook can go forward.
Put it this way for you. Cleary went off the other night and New South Wales went on, and I'm not saying that we played better without him or anything like that. They got the job done. If Maloney was the one that went down injured, I reckon we're in trouble. If he was the half that went down injured instead of Cleary, I reckon that game. I'm not going to say we'd lose the game.
We wouldn't lose, but it wouldn't have been as dominant as it was.
No,
fair call.
All right, so I think that's keeping us up to date with all that sort of
Queensland,
stuff in regards to that. Queensland have actually they've made a few changes. That was interesting to see. What do you think about?
Named a really bizarre side, in my opinion. Look, Kalen Ponga's massive loss.
That's
Kalen Ponga
huge.
Is huge. I don't see how they can pull anything back when you've got one of the star fullbacks of the competition out.
And that's where you were looking, if we were previewing the game and he's fit, we're saying it's going to be one through him and Munster. Him and Munster are going to be the ones that are going to be able to create something to get those points for the Queensland team.
I think it's a masterstroke picking Norman.
Yeah?
I think picking Norman, it's one of them. Okay, we don't have another Kalen Ponga in the competition. So what do? We pick a player who might just be, who might just find enough within himself. Like, he's done some good stuff for St George this year. He's won 2 games for them off the boot of it, off his field goal kicking. He's got skill. I'm not gonna. I know last year he had an absolute bludger of a year, and I'm not gonna say that he wowed everyone last year. This year he's proved away from Parramatta, where he's got a different role at St George. He can play really well. I think what Walters is looking for is this: put a Queensland jersey on this bloke, and he might just find something else. And there's nothing wrong with that. Queensland have done that for years, and they've won. Where I think Queensland, I don't get the decision, Dylan Harper.
Yeah. So
What?
Napa's. So just
What did
to
he do?
recap, the players that are out. You got Ponga's out, Napa, and Jared Wallace is the other player out.
That's
So yeah, Dylan Napa. I don't know if there's more to that one.
yeah.
I don't know.
Played well on the weekend.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see. Yeah.
Like, you can't tell me they looked at it like, okay, all right, you got to pick a team. You got to pick a team, and you're down to 2 players, Christian Welsh and Dylan Napa. Who you pick?
Yeah.
No, remember those school days where you're standing as captain?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll take you. I was always the last one to pick because I wasn't that sporty. But you know what I mean? Like, you got your captain. Who's your last player picked?
Yeah, that's right. You know, the kids are picking. Oh, yeah, we'll pick Dylan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, look, Blues very well balanced. I'd like to sit here and say it's going to be this close match where, you know, I just can't see the Blues.
I can't see the Blues.
I know.
losing
Look,
this
we're Blues fans, and I get that. But But seriously, if someone said here's not that we advocate betting, but here's $100, yeah, I'm struggling to put it on Queensland.
And it's interesting too, looking at the side. Queensland's basically got a spine of halves. When you look at, they when you look at I'd say with the position. So the players that are in their spine play in the halves on the weekend. You've got Munster. Norman, Cherry Evans, and Hunt.
Yeah.
So you'd like to hope that they might be able to create something there.
Hunt's been playing pretty well. Like, if someone said to me, "Who's your gold star, Achievers Award, encouragement award for the thing," I would pick Hunt from Queensland. I think getting thrown in a hooker, he's done a pretty good job. Like, I'm not, So yeah, but anyway, it's interesting.
Yeah, as I said, I actually really like the New South Wales team. I think that coming off the back of that other win, they'll have that confidence there. I like having Pearce in there. I think it'll be really interesting to see how Queensland involves Munster, because it looks as though he'll be the fullback. So that'll be interesting to see. I actually feel as though the Queensland forwards are going to have to stand up and show a fair bit, because if you've got Vaughan, Saifidi, I thought did a good job early on the other day. Yeah,
Saifidi was good.
Jake Trbojevic, obviously, but when you've got, you got Clemmer, you've even got Finucane, Wade Graham. I think when he came on, he had that extra X factor. I think New South Wales deserve that favourites tag.
Yeah. So that's the following Wednesday. We have
got some footy before then.
Before then, we've got some footy, and
so this week we've got a few games.
It's a bye-affected round.
It is a bye-affected round, and there's some interesting games, especially this first one, which is on Thursday night. The Dragons are hosting the Storm at Wynn Stadium. It's hard to tip this week. Both teams are actually affected by Origin. So as you could imagine with the Dragons, they'll be missing Ben Hunt, Corey Norman, Paul Vaughan. Tarek Sims is out with that suspension, but he would have been playing Origin anyway. And Tyson Frizzell. Listen to this list of players out for the Storm: Munster, Welsh, Finucane, Kafusi, Adokar, Chambers. So a few players out for both teams. A few notable players that are in. People are always interested to see Sandor Earl and how he's going.
Sandor Earl's back.
Yeah, he's going to be on the wing. Interesting halves combination for both teams. Got Jai Field and Darren Nichols in the halves for the Dragons. Billy Walters and Brodie Croft for the Storm. So I think Brodie Croft will have an opportunity in this one to really stand up and stamp his authority there. It's going to be an interesting game. These are hard to pick. I hate trying to give a tip for these Origin affected rounds. It could be anything.
One's coached by Bellamy. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going. Look, I'm with
Storm.
you.
Coach
I
Bellamy.
think.
How much did he go off last week? Far out. That was
I'd
hilarious.
hate to see how he'd act if he
That
coached
was
the team
hilarious.
that was
I'll
coming
tell you
last.
what though. Okay, a crowd. Crowd was not. Hard to get a crowd in Adelaide for Roosters. But Origin next year. That's going to be a picture down there. It's
Yeah.
It's going to look good.
Yeah.
Gets out to Adelaide. I went to a day-night test. It's phenomenal. It's such a good ground.
Yeah. But look,
Yeah, I'm Storm.
I'm Storm with this
Only
one
for
because
the-
I feel as
yeah.
though the as I said, the Storm have been a machine. Even when they've got players missing, the players that slot in, it's not as though they're going, oh, we've got to replace the superstar. They go, this is your job. You're filling this role this week, and they go on with it like that.
I can't argue with you.
I actually still think that when you look, and Storm still have Cameron Smith.
Yeah.
Whereas in previous years, they haven't had him. You've still got a Surfer Salamona, both Bromwiches. I think. Look, I think the Storm will win this one. Not by a lot, but they'll get the win. I feel.
Yeah, I agree.
Another game that's going to be affected by Origin. The Tigers are playing at home to the Roosters. Now, when I say playing at home, their new home at Bankwest Stadium. That'll be Friday. So keep in mind, only one Friday game this week. So this will be the game that kicks off around that 8 o'clock mark. Moses Mbai, he'll be the only player that's out for the Tigers. A couple of players missing for the Roosters. Boyd Cordner, James Tedesco are going to be the most notable ones. They're also missing Takiaho this week.
Mitchell's there.
They have a few very interesting selections this week. The main thing you're going to see here is it's very hard to tip against the team that's got Latrell Mitchell, and you've also got Luke Keary and Cooper Cronk as the halves.
No. Look, they are still. They've still got the side. No, they got Mitchell. No, like Keary, Cronk, Mitchell, Rhea Hargreaves, Victor Radley,
Orbison. Don't forget Brett Morris.
2 points in the bag. I can't.
Well, when you have a look at this game, even though it's Origin week, there's still some big names playing. The Tigers are coming off that win against South. Yeah. Admittingly, I don't know if they had to work as hard for their win last week as other teams did. I think South really let them back in. I worry about the Tigers' attack. They struggled to put points on last week, and I think any team with, as I said, Manu, Tupu, Mitchell, Morris, Keary, Cronk.
They're far too indisciplined. To beat the Roosters. Roosters all the way.
I like the Roosters in that one.
Yeah, Roosters.
Now this game has become very interesting. This game that we're going to see on Saturday between the Knights and the Warriors, because all of a sudden the the Knights are going to go in without Mitchell Pearce at half. How much of an impact does that have?
Massive.
Yeah.
To Newcastle, he is such a linchpin in that side.
Clemmer too.
I think no Clemmer, no Pearce significantly tips the scales into the Warriors' favour.
If they're playing anyone else but the Warriors, you confidently tip the other team by default. But the fact that we've got them playing against the Warriors, who are really inconsistent, aren't they? You got to be a pretty solid Warriors fan to be consistently tipping the Warriors. I've got the Warriors by a nose in this one, not by much, just because I think that.
I just think that there's
Saifidi also being out with Origin.
Yeah, there's a bit of class missing from Newcastle, and I think that's going to be the difference.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's just too many key players there. It's going to be tough. Then they're going to be looking for someone to really step up and take control there. It's a really good opportunity for Blake Green, Cody Nikarima to take control of the game.
Yeah.
If they get Roger Tuivasa-Sheck involved.
No, I think there's just Too much class.
By a smidgen.
Yep.
Smidge. Little
Warriors.
bit.
Warriors.
Yeah, I'll go Warriors just. Last game of the weekend is on Sunday. Sharks are going to be taking on the Broncos. This one's at Point Bet Stadium. Yet again, we've got a team in the Broncos who will be affected by Origin. So they've got a few players there that they're going to be out in regards to that. Sharks obviously missing Wade Graham. You're not seeing the Broncos affected in the capacity that they used to be in the old days, really, are you? You know, you've got obviously your Corey Oates and
No Milford. No Milford is just huge.
well, here's the when you look at the ins and outs list for this week. On the outs, they've got Milford, Oates, David Fafita, Offa Hengawi, Gillett, and Kenner. So it is a pretty. I suppose that's a fair list of players out.
He is out. He is out indefinitely. So they don't know what time frame he's got. I think
Their halves combination.
I think if I was the Sharks and I was the Sharks coaching staff, I would say this to all my Sharks players. You want to play finals football, you have to win this weekend.
Yeah.
This is the game we need to win. We buggered it up last week. We can't bugger it up this week. We've got a side that's ripe for the picking at the moment. Let's utilise this. Let's win. I've got the Sharks. I've actually got the Sharks. If someone said to me, "What's my margin this week?" It's the Sharks. I just think
the Sharks are the only team I look at this week, and I'm super confident they're going to win. And I think they're going to get a few points on the board.
So
The
put
key
all your money on that every time we say that.
Oh yeah, now you know
Broncos
are
are going to come back.
But no, well, if the Broncos are going to win this, and this is what I was going to say, the Broncos really need to work off the back of their forward pack. I'm just going to go through their starting forward pack here, and just remind people that this is a really good forward pack. The concern is going to be if they go forward, which I think they will, do they have enough strike in the back to get over the line? So you've got Matt Lodge, McCulloch, Haas, Glenn, Pengai Jr., Flegler. That's a pretty good starting forward pack.
The problem is I don't know if it'll go any further than that.
That's the problem. They can get down there. I don't know if there's enough points in the back line. I don't know if Turpin and O'Sullivan are going to be able to create enough for this young back line. Obviously, Darius Boyd's there. He's going to have to come in and get involved as much as possible because you don't want him just hanging out the back and being surplus. I still, though, think that the Sharks will have too much class. They've got too many players that can,
for me,
in their back line especially, that can create. They've got that strike power. They've got Moylan. Bronson Cherry's been good this year. I've really enjoyed watching him. Dugan and Morris are always, or Fecky, he can score a try. I think Johnson and Townsend are going to be the key. We've got that really experienced halves combination there. They're starting to get their ducks in a row. I think the Sharks in this one are specialists.
100%. Yep, me too.
Cool. All right, well, that's this week's games previewed.
That's it.
Yeah, so I think most of the news going forward is going to be the lead up to the third State of Origin here in Sydney. So we'll keep our eyes on that and any changes, but at the moment there's plenty of news happening, and day by day there's always something new, so I'm sure there'll be plenty happening over the next week or so. The one good thing that I think we're going to start to see now is the fact that we're past June 30.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, I'm happy that we're over June 30. I had to laugh.
Happy New Year to all our accountants.
Yeah, I actually had a laugh. It popped up on one of the NRL Facebook things. Yeah, I saw it actually pop up on one of the NRL Facebook. Was it the NRL? One of the clubs actually put up on their Facebook. It's the West Tigers, I think that was right. So the headline was West Tigers finalised their team for 2019.
Yeah.
I thought that's wonderful, considering we're only about 10 rounds out from the finals. And that just shows
last
the
movement. Sewer to South.
Yeah, James Sewer's gone south. That's
So that was the world's
that's
worst
an interesting signing, and that was one of those things that was
how advantageous now that one of their players out for 9 weeks. But anyway,
yeah, good timing. They needed a prop.
Anyway, we've got that
right.
round.
Well, have a good week, everyone. Thanks again for joining us. Keep up the support. I know we're a bit all over the place sometimes with frequency and whatnot, but keep in mind the podcast will drop. And have a great week. If your team's playing this week, good luck.
Good luck, people. Bye now.
Bye.